Hi, welcome to this week's edition of Your Call, and a very interesting guest. I've got Gary Moore from Australia, who has a new company called Gavel House, and as the name suggests, they auction horses. Gary, thanks very much for joining me.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, let's start right in the beginning, but a lot of people might get you confused with the Macau trainer. Tell us that there's a difference. You've both got a brother called John. It's very similar, but you're not the same guy.
No, I'm not. No, it's ironic how John and I, my brother and I, and Gary and John Moore, the son of George Moore, we're both the same ages, and
That's amazing.
Amazing. But living, different parts of the world, and Gary's now, leading trainer in Macau, and John, obviously, one of the leading trainers in Hong Kong.
And what does your brother do?
My brother's in real estate.
Real
He
estate.
lives in Melbourne, yes.
Okay, so you and your brother grew up in Melbourne.
That's correct.
Where did
yes.
the racing to? Where did they grow up?
Well, my first introduction to racing was my father was president of the Victorian TAB Association back in the early 70s. So when I left school, I joined my father and worked with him for 3 years, and had my grounding there with betting and with punting, and till Dad finally sacked me and said, "Look, you better get out and get a decent job. You've got no money."
Yeah.
So that's how my love of the thoroughbred was introduced.
And when did you realise there was another Gary Moore?
I've following horse racing and following his success. He was a champion Hong Kong jockey for 8 years.
Yeah.
And, pretty much in the world of racing, the family name George Moore is just synonymous with thoroughbred racing.
Yeah, and success.
And success, marvellous success.
Very, very good.
Yes.
So then Dad said, "You're out of here, son."
Yes.
What did you go and do?
Well, I was a tennis player. That's, I left, played a lot of tennis as a junior in Australia. And
At a high level?
I wouldn't say, look, I tried to make it internationally, but I wasn't good enough.
Could you have taken Pat Cash to a second set?
No, I don't think so, although I do know Pat. But yeah, ended up, I travelled for a while and I played tournaments overseas. And then I came back to Australia and I coached full time for 4 years.
I can see you're still fit. That's a
Yes.
wonderful attribute to remain
Yes.
in shape. But a lot of sportsmen get involved in horse racing, regardless of what sport, whether it be soccer, rugby, footy,
Yes,
tennis,
Paul. Yeah, well, I think, most people that play sport love sport.
Yes.
And of course, thoroughbred racing, it's just on its own as far as excitement and thrills are concerned.
These great gamblers?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're a nation of, great horse lovers and breeders, and, it's got very big support in Australia. Yes.
Yeah, okay, so now, when did this idea come about to start Gavel House?
Well, I've been racing horses now and breeding horses in Australia and New Zealand for about 28 years now, and I've been selling horses through the auction process for all of that process, both with Magic Millions, with Inglis and with New Zealand Bloodstock. So I've had, a fairly good understanding of the auction process, and, it was about, I think 4 years ago, I actually had a lovely mare that was passed in at the Inglis Easter sales in Sydney, and I thought, gosh, what am I going to do? And I purchased her as a weanling in New Zealand. So you need to sell a horse and you need money at the time, you look for all your options. And I decided to fly her to New Zealand where I purchased her, and thought that was a very clever move. And I auctioned her through the broodmare sale in New Zealand and ended up having to sell her for a lot less than what she was passed in for in Australia. So it turned out to be a disastrous move. But the internet is the future.
Absolutely.
There's no question about that. And I feel that if the breeders embrace the concept of trading thoroughbreds online, then you can't afford not to be doing it as we move forward, because we've now got the banks trying to push us online. We've got the airlines trying to push us online with
Everybody's going online.
Everybody's going online. And, I just briefly, Paul, a few years ago, my mother tickets for a wonderful stage production in Australia called Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, yes.
And they were wonderful tickets. And Mum had had a very bad knee at the time and had booked in for surgery to have a knee operation. And you wouldn't know, it just so happened that the operation fell at the time of this. She had 2 wonderful tickets to Phantom of the Opera. So she gave them to me and she said, look, see if anyone in the family would like the tickets. So I went home, I was telling my wife, and my son said to me, Dad, he said, look, he said, let's put those tickets on eBay.
Yeah.
And this is about, 3.5 years ago. And he said, what I'll do, he said, I'll take a little photo of these tickets, and he said, we'll load them up onto eBay and we'll set a little price that we'd like to achieve. And we put them up there, and within 7 days the tickets were sold for almost $180 more than what Mum had paid.
So you put a price in and they took it?
That's correct.
Or is it an auction on eBay as well?
Well, yes it is. It's a bidding process. That's how eBay internationally works.
Yes, okay.
Although we're not trading like that.
Sure. So that got the idea going.
Well, the interesting thing was, Paul, is that I'm based in Melbourne. People that bought the tickets were based in Perth, which is 4,000 miles away. And they were online, they purchased them, and
the transaction went through smoothly?
yes, they transferred funds to our account, and then I posted the tickets directly to them. So, I at that particular time, I could see that there was really not a dedicated site of very good quality that was offering owners and breeders to buy and sell horses online. And because I'd been been in the industry for a long time, I thought, look, this is something that I'd like to try to do. So it took me 6 months to do research and to develop a website. We've only been trading now for 2.5 years, so we've made a lot of mistakes and we've had to go back to the drawing board and rebuild our website. And we've been listening to what the breeders and what owners want and what they're telling us. So we started again, and we've just relaunched our new website about 5 months ago. And
looking good.
Yeah, it is.
I want to ask you, people like David Chester at Magic Millions and Inglis and people like that who have these major sales, how have they taken to you opening up?
Well, look, I would say, look, they see us as a very small player in the marketplace. But at the same time, they're watching our progress closely. And
it is the future. It is the future.
That's right. And I mean, since we've started operation, they've actually introduced now online bidding at the auctions, and it's going quite well, which does help us anyway. But I think the auction process will always remain with us.
It's always going to be there. It's like buying a newspaper. People love to buy the newspaper.
They do, you know, and I mean, people have been used to auctioning horses for years and years and years. So I mean, trying to embrace a new concept is not easy, but it's some of our results are quite extraordinary.
So in a short period of time, you've managed to pick up interest from which countries?
Well, our head office is based in Australia, and we've got an agent.
What part? Melbourne.
In Melbourne, yes, and we've got an agent in New Zealand who is actually worked here in South Africa at Summerhill Stud.
Okay, that's our top stud in the country for many years. Mickey Goss's set up.
Yes. She was originally UK, Natalie, and she worked here for about 4 months, I believe. And she's a bloodstock agent in her own right. And interestingly enough, she's now just about to marry Steve Davis, who's the auctioneer here.
I know Natalie very well.
Yes, well, Natalie.
Oh, of course I do.
That's her, Paul. So Natalie's based in Cambridge in New Zealand. She's our agent there.
Steve, the auctioneer.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah, auctioneer. Yes, I know Natalie well. She's British.
That's correct. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. And is she going to be working with Gavelhouse?
Yeah, she is. You know, she's our representative there, and I think we're very much aware that people with, people are scared of the internet, and people are not computer savvy. Yeah. And
you've got to become, though. You have to become, Gary. It's a step forward.
I think the thing is that the last 2 years, Paul, trying to get people interested in the internet and trying to get them to embrace the concept of buying and selling online, it's very difficult. But we're trying to overcome that because of our superior customer service.
Yeah.
You know, we offer a complete service for registering for people, for loading ads for people, for sourcing winning videos for people. And, you know, wherever I go, people say to me, look, you know, it's not going to succeed. People won't buy horses online. They need to physically see the horses. They need to see the walk.
If you see a video of a horse winning and it's got a vet certificate, I think it's a major plus if you're interested in buying the horse, especially if the price is right.
Absolutely.
That's very important. Just getting back to Natalie for a moment, where will she be based?
She's in Cambridge, in New Zealand.
Okay,
yeah,
lovely.
And she's on hand there to, you know, take calls.
She knows all the breeders in this country.
She does.
She comes out every year. They've got their kid now.
That's
she comes
correct.
out every year with Steve, and everyone
Yes.
knows her. Wonderful girl. So that's wonderful. That's a step in.
Well, look, we're doing very well in New Zealand, and she's doing a terrific job. And we've got an agent here, Natalie Burke. She's based in Pretoria.
Yes.
And she's on hand, you know, to help people, assist people, create ads for people, and generally make sure that when we present a horse, whether it's 1,000 Rand or R1,000,000 Rand, that horse comes up on our website online, and, you know, we give that vendor the very best chance of selling that horse.
Right. What a lot of people out there will be watching now. How does this work? First of all, we've got to let them know there's no commissions involved. Whether you sell a horse for $10 million or 2,000 Rand, there's nothing extra comes to you.
No, nothing extra, Paul. I think that's the secret of
That's the secret. There's no,
Yes.
you don't have to push to sell a horse at any price. You've got to give the person the chance to sell to get his horse out to the market.
Exactly, and I think that, you know, there are our three biggest attributes, and as you said, certainly the no commission, and
Yes.
the buyers and sellers deal direct, and the exposure that we can give to people is, you know, instrumental in helping our growth moving forward. Because we're seeing now, you know, owners putting horse on the site. They're paying a fee to put the horse online, which is 800 Rand for one horse.
Right, I was going to backtrack for a moment. So I want to put a horse on Gavel House. It's going to cost me 800 Rand.
Yes.
Do I have to supply the video?
No, you don't.
Photograph?
Yes, you do.
That's minimum requirement.
Your minimum requirement, that's correct, Paul. Yes, the minimum requirement to begin creating an ad or to put a horse online with us is you register with us online. That means you just put in your details in our computer and they're saved in our database. So that when you come back to sell a horse or to load an ad on our site, you would take a photograph of that horse. Someone will take a photo of it, whether it's a photographer, whether you source a winning digital shot from one of the race.
Yes,
play
and that
companies.
goes on to you.
That's right. You upload that at the time when you load the ad onto your site. There's a process, there's 5 simple steps where you just follow online, and if you don't know how to do it, we'll do it for you.